Let's move on to UFOs. Interesting developments there. So President Biden actually broke this morning, is scheduled at least at some point today to bring us an address on what's going on with the UFOs, specifically most likely around
their version of the
Chinese
story,
balloon,
anyway.
their version of the story. But one thing that you should keep in mind is, just as we predicted here on our show on Tuesday, let's put this up there on the screen. Well, officials now say in all three cases, these debris of these downed objects, they're never going to be recovered. The White House is trying to, quote, tamp down on conspiracies. They say if it can't be recovered, it's just going to be very difficult to say with great certainty what these things actually are.
That'll tamp down the conspiracy.
Yeah, that'll certainly tamp down the conspiracies. I mean, look, here's the thing. They've now had days in every single one of these instances. I've checked, in the weather conditions have been changing in the Yukon and in Alaska, Lake Huron. So as we told you previously, first it was choppy water. Okay, that lasts for a day. All right, so what about the next day? Well, now it's too deep. I went ahead and checked. The maximum depth of Lake Huron is 754 feet. That is actually quite deep. However, we have had multiple instances in our history where we have gotten stuff from far deeper, the U.S. Navy specifically. There's actually a military base on Lake Huron, or very nearby, with some capabilities. We know that the U.S. Navy has all of these different assets that they can fly and bring from across the board. Or at the very least, like, why don't you tell people we have the equipment, we have a concerted effort, it'll be up in 2 months, something like that. They're not even coming out and saying that. They're just like, yeah, debris recovery operations are ongoing and continue. And remember, to date, we've had no images, we've had no photos. Now, look, we can wait and see for what the president says. Some pilot audio actually came out from the F-16. One of the things that really comes out from the pilots is they're like, we have no idea what that is. They're like, I don't know what it is. I think I see some string. No, I don't see any string. I don't know how it's staying aloft. It's really small. They actually said it was, since it was moving and staying aloft at 40,000 feet, and they were moving at such a high rate of speed, they had difficulty even keeping a visual on it. We know that the missile actually missed over Lake Huron. It required 2 missiles, which actually get a target lock on them, indicating it possibly maybe have had some heat signature. And, you know, look, I want to say again, it probably is a balloon. It probably is. But it's one of those where they have got to at least assure and tell the public about what's going on. And we know, all the way from over 20 years now, that you have internal video that can be released, as have been released, with the UFO videos. One of the things that struck me the most were some of the comments from senators after the classified briefing, where they were honestly outraged with the Biden administration. This was bipartisan, actually. They were like, this has been going on for years. They didn't tell us anything. We have no idea, and we have got to answer more questions about what's going on. Senator John Kennedy and others reacted immediately on Capitol Hill. Here's what they had to say.
I just know that going into the last 2 hearings, I had the impression that this was something that had happened over the last 2 weeks, and that's not accurate. This has been going on a long time. Now that this cow is out of the barn, the president and the director of national intelligence needs to address it. They need to explain to the American people, if they know, and I'm not sure they know, if they know they're not telling us, what these things are, who put them up there, and do they pose a threat to the American people? The director of national intelligence coordinates all that. She is a cabinet level officer. She needs to come brief the United States Congress, and then she and President Biden need to talk straight to the American people.
That would be nice.
Just answer basic questions.
A lot of frustration on Capitol Hill. Senator Tom Cotton saying the same thing. Senator Dick Durbin, many of these people saying the same. They're like, hey, look, we didn't learn anything. Tom Cotton was like, I learned more from reading the news than I did from the classified briefing. And I just want to say again, if they thought it was really a balloon, they would have said so. If they had any confidence that it was something that they could identify positively, they would have told Congress. What do you also learn from that, especially from Senator Kennedy's comments? This has been going on for a long time. It's exactly what we've been saying here for years now in the discussion of this topic. And the revelations are really, is that whenever you uncalibrate the radar from where it previously was, it turns out you're going to find all sorts of things that are flying up in your airspace. Crystal, you had that idea that maybe they're just going to recalibrate back. I would not put it past them. They're like, we don't want to deal with this. We don't want to look at
I mean, we haven't
what's
had any
going
more
on.
shoot down, so maybe they already did that. They're like, listen, ignorance was bliss. Let's just go back to that regime.
I think that's very likely.
Yeah.
I mean, and also in terms of stuff coming out on the Chinese balloon, currently intelligence says that we actually watched the balloon take off from high Hainan Island. The Chinese are saying, apparently with some earnestness, trying to tamp down the tensions. They're like, look, we only meant for it to fly over Hawaii and Guam. They're like, we didn't mean for it to drift up here.
I mean, according to the reporting, the U.S. is actually kind of buying.
Yeah, they're like,
that's the case because they watched it take. I guess there were unusual weather patterns, and there were actually some indication that after it was spotted over Montana or whatever, the Chinese were actually trying to bring, but it went awry. Anyway, I don't know. But the other piece that was interesting to me, I think it was in that same article that's in the New York Times about the Chinese spy balloon. They're getting from their administration sources that, we think that these other balloons were probably like weather balloons that were defunct, and it was basically just like air debris or trash.
What does that mean?
It's like, well, I mean, first of all, we need proof. I mean, that's number one.
Trash doesn't fly around static at 40,000 feet for hours on end. Okay?
Well, and also, you use 2 Hellfire missiles to take down a freaking dead weather balloon? Really? Really? And as we have pointed out already, the fact that they are unwilling to say, like, it was a balloon, that one dude was like, there's a reason I'm saying it's an object, not a balloon. Again, there's a lot of reason to be skeptical about any of these claims, but it's revealing the things that they leak to the Times. They can't say it outright because they have no proof, but they can suggest on background, like, this is what we really think it is. Judging by the reactions of members who came out of that briefing, I wouldn't put too much stock in that particular explanation. And Senator Kennedy made this very eerie comment, very cryptic comment. He was like, all I'm going to say is lock your doors tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And look.
What?
From what I've tried, I've talked to my people on Capitol Hill, Senator Rubio, Senator Gillibrand, both have been warriors on this issue, and they are the ones who are the most read in. They genuinely seem afraid of the fact that we don't know what's going on. They've pushed for transparency now for 2 years at every single time. The Pentagon, the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence that he mentioned there, have obfuscated and withheld evidence from them. We also, from Director Ratcliffe, former director under Donald Trump, Mike Pompeo, many of them do not report having seen any of the major intelligence. This is one of those where I really believe it is such highly special compartmentalized information that they are willing in some ways to keep it away from leadership and from the elected officials. I've told this before, John Podesta, who is the White House Chief of Staff, he's actually a big UFO guy. He tried to get to the bottom of this whenever he was the White House Chief of Staff to Bill Clinton, and they basically were like, go away, we're not telling you anything. President Clinton is on video. You can actually go watch the clip if you're interested, where he's like, I'm embarrassed to admit I tried to find out, and they wouldn't really tell me. And so he was the commander-in-chief in the 90s. Things have changed somewhat in terms of some of the transparency pushes and all of that. And by the way, some indication that our show has made some difference, at least in the Pentagon. They're getting a little riled up over Jeremy Corbell's comments by specifically calling people out here on our show. So that's good. We're making a bit of a dent. I think that's great. And the point is that we have to continue to push and push. At the end of the day, all we really do have control over is public pressure, not just on the executive, but on Congress. And Congress is pissed. I really think they should be. Final thing, let's put this up there, as we alluded to. The president is weighing the possibility of a Biden address on UFOs. It looks like it'll come at some time today. I don't think it's going to be a primetime address, like a 9 p.m. type thing. Maybe he'll give a press conference, or maybe he'll just do a drop-by in the White House press briefing room. We still are awaiting whatever those details are. If they break at some point to the day, we'll try and get you some coverage on that. But that's where things stand right now.
In an attempt to, quote-unquote, tamp down conspiracy theories. You know what you could do on that regard?
Yeah.
Get the friggin' debris removal going. Show us what it is. Give us some proof. Even then, people are going to be skeptical because they just don't trust you because of all the lies that have been told. But that would at least be some move in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.